All right, what's up, you guys? This is Devin from Century Effects Studios, and we're going to be talking about the 5D Mark IV today because I actually used it. I rented it. I didn't purchase it, so I don't have any B-roll footage for you, but here we go. I want to start out by saying, again, guys, I am not sponsored by Canon. I'm not sponsored by any camera maker. I'm trying to give my unbiased review of the 5D Mark IV, basically hands-on. And like I said again, I didn't have time to film what I did because I was doing a wedding, and you got to have permission to have all this stuff being featured and posted and stuff like that. So I just went on and used the camera and saved myself the time. The 5D Mark IV, I want to start off by saying, is an awesome camera. When you actually hold the camera in your hands and then you take a picture, you swipe, you pinch the zoom, you zoom in, zoom out with your hands and stuff like that. It's just an awesome camera when you see the resolution of the back screen and then you see the resolution of your pictures in Lightroom and Photoshop and Aperture and any other photo programming that you're using. It's awesome. The dynamic range of the camera is awesome. I think that's the calling card of this entire camera. I think that dynamic range that you see on the 5D Mark IV was the dynamic range you should have saw in the 5D Mark III. But I'm not saying that Canon is, oh my goodness, Canon should have did that. I'm not saying that. I'm not arguing with them yet. I'm just saying that the 5D Mark IV had some awesome colors coming out of it in low light situations. It wasn't degraded by noise, or it wasn't all purpley and stuff like that. Now, granted, I did use a flash for a lot of the pictures that I used in the wedding. Of course, because it's a wedding, you want to have better fill lighting than, just your average, high ISO natural light, right? Because a lot of people think that newer cameras, even though they have high megapixels and low noise, you should be shooting everything in natural light, whereas the lighting might not be good. So with that being said, the Canon 5D Mark IV in good light just beasted on everything. I have never taken such great pictures, and I use the Canon 40mm STM lens, the prime lens. That is a super sharp lens, and I advise anybody to use it. Use that combination of the 5D Mark IV with the 40mm prime. You will not be disappointed. I used the 40mm prime for a lot of the group shots that I did. I raised the light source up. I put a light source on an umbrella that was enclosed, so it's like an octabox, a cheap one, but an octabox at that. I powered my speed light all the way up. I triggered it wirelessly, and I used the 40mm prime to take some awesome group shots. They were sharp. I took most of them at around f4, f5, depending on how many people were in the shot. Maybe I even went up to f7.1 on some of them, but the images were awesome. Now, if I have some of those images and I have the permission from the family to use them in this video, I will. Okay, so in this image, it was a young, I think she's just like 3 years old. She was a young kid, but they were wrapping her. She was the flower girl, and she had like this mixed skin complexion, and she just had the most brilliant smile. So I said, every time she talks to her mother, I'm going to try to get that brilliant smile because, a lot of kids at that age, they have like snaggle-tooth action going on, and, the teeth are not in the right spot sometimes because, the baby teeth have trouble growing in and growing out. So with that being said, I think it was an awesome image. But when I was able to get her to sit still with her mother, and when they were putting that headdress on her, it was just awesome. I don't know what it's called. I'm a guy. I don't do a lot of headdresses or, those little crowns that, females wear. I don't do that. So I don't know what it's called. Don't pick on me in the comments. But it was one of the most beautiful pictures I had ever taken before because it was just there. It had nice color. It had nice vibrance. It was a nice moment. You could see the hands of her mother. You could see her eyes vibrantly. You could see catch lights in her eyes. You could see nice pink, white colors for wedding, that purity color thing, the color scheme of the whole wedding. You can see it all in that one picture, just barely, but you can get that entire vibe in that picture. There was low noise, high picture quality. Now, with that being said, I have no images that come out that clean with any of the cameras that I have. I go to video. Now, the video was pretty good. I had no problem with the video at all at 1080p at 30 frames, 60 frames a second, whichever frames I shot it at. But I noticed that I was using an STM lens and I was autofocusing in video. For those of you who don't know, 10 years ago, DSLRs started video. DSLRs were not a video camera. They just adopted video, and it became awesome because of the big sensor, low noise look, shallow depth of field, and all that stuff. So when I was shooting with the 5D Mark IV, I noticed that I can autofocus video, which is a very new feature for Canon, and Canon has some of the best autofocus features in any camera. Ask the 80D. The 80D is awesome at it. The T4i, T5i, T6i, T7i that's coming out. All those cameras are going to have autofocus if they don't already have it for video. Now, with that being said, since DSLRs haven't had video in the past 30 years, there's a lot of things that you have to think about before you actually start shooting video with the DSLRs, like the lens and whether it makes noise. And if you're autofocusing with the lens that makes noise, you have an onboard camera mic that picks everything up. So with that being said, it was good with the STM lens 40 millimeters on the 5D Mark IV, but it started making this like grumbly noise every time it focused, even though it's an STM lens, which means, you know, silent stepping mode, I think it is, or it's supposed to be silent essentially, and it's not necessarily silent so much that it's a distraction. Just like a 50 millimeter Plastic Fantastic, the Plastic Fantastic version that's not the STM, it makes a noise. Well, it's kind of the same distraction for me. I'd rather have an off-camera mic, but I didn't have that, you know, for the behind the scenes, I didn't have all that time to actually go about doing it, and recording video at that point in time was just spare the moment just in case I could get something off. So okay, so that's my first strike against video, because the lens that I was using was just making noise that I didn't want to hear, and I thought it was going to be more silent than it actually was in the actual video file, but I'm pretty sure they're going to like it regardless. So moving forward in video, now with that, it has awesome 1080p video. I'm not gonna lie, it has awesome 1080p video. I don't have no problems with that, but its claim to fame was its 4K. And everybody knows how I love to hate Canon's 4K. Like, if you can actually pull it off, you're awesome. But with my old cards in the 5D Mark IV, it never materialized. I tried to shoot 4K 10 times, and every time it stopped the video automatically. Every time I look at the back of the camera, stop the video automatically because such and such excuse and stuff like that. I understand my cards are too slow for the format in the 4K, but even if I had fast enough cards, I only had like 10 minutes of video on a 32 gig card that didn't have anything on it. You see what I'm saying? So DSLRs usually cut off at 12 minutes, the older ones, and I don't even have that much time to shoot 4K video, and it's already consumed the entire card. You see what I'm saying? So all these things that you have to deal with, and then I got to put it on my computer, and it has to rip apart that motion JPEG to even get me some decent video footage in Premiere Pro, and then it's got to slug around and go slow. I wasn't trying to deal with all of that. Maybe 3 minutes of footage, I would have been able to deal with that, but that 4K is just not for me. And then it crops in, so I got to bring the camera all the way back like a crop frame sensor. But I bought a full frame sensor and things of that nature. So with all that being said, I would just rent the 5D Mark IV. I would never like purchase it until it's like, you know, the cheapest it'll be in the next 10 years. You see what I'm saying? Like, you don't buy the 5D Mark IV just to buy the 5D Mark IV. No, you gotta rent it, and then if you rich, you can do anything you want to with the 5D Mark IV if you're willing to go through all the processing that it takes for that camera. But the GH4 is simple. It's simple, just like a 1080p file, except it's a 4K file, and it looks like a 4K file, and it's small, and it does all this stuff. And the GH5 does the same, but Canon 5D Mark IV, it was killing me when I was at that wedding and when I was trying to shoot some vlogs for the video. So with that being said, the 5D Mark IV is a good camera, awesome camera for stills. I think it rivals the D800, the D850, the D5, the 5DS and the 5DSR. It rivals all of those cameras, and it doesn't even have to have the same amount of megapixels and stuff like that. And remember, Canon already has a good lineup of lenses, so you don't even have to worry about, you know, whether you're getting sharp quality lenses, because Canon has more lenses than anybody else does. With that being said, I think the 5D Mark IV is a good competitor in stills, but only stills. And with that being said, I'm Devin with Central Effects Studios, and have a good day.